Work to pass additional funding for disaster relief. Earlier today, House Speaker Mike Johnson responded to those calls.
Congress will do whatever is necessary to cover the needs of the people, but the states have to go and calculate and assess the need, and then they submit that to Congress. So that takes some time, especially when you have a storm this broad and this wide affecting so many people. So as soon as those numbers are submitted to Congress, we will act, and it'll be bipartisan, and we'll cover the needs.
Meanwhile, a new NBC News poll finds the presidential race is in a dead heat with 23 days until Election Day. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump both have 48% support. They're also now tied on favorability, both earning 43% support there, and that is a drop from last month for Harris. Today on the Sunday shows, the vice presidential nominees put on the hot seat over different issues. Governor Tim Walz was confronted on comments he made saying the Electoral College needs to go.
Every vote counts in every place of the country. And I think what the point was on this is they see us in battleground states and not across the country. So the campaign's position is clear on this. That's not to get rid of the Electoral College, but it's to focus on every vote.
Also new, Senator J.D. Vance pressed on whether he will acknowledge Donald Trump lost the 2020 election.
Martha, I've said repeatedly, I think the 2020 election had problems. You want to say rigged, you want to say he won, use whatever vocabulary term you want. I want to focus on the fact that we had big technology firms censoring our fellow citizens in a way that violated our fundamental rights. If we want to restore trust in American elections and democracy, which I want to do, Martha, we have to talk openly about what happened in 2020.
We've got reporters and analysts in place across this country covering all these developing storylines for us. We're going to begin this time with NBC senior political editor Mark Murray. Once again, he's going to bring us more on today's poll. So, Mark, we have both candidates deadlocked, but what do the numbers tell you about any head-to-head kind of advantage?
Yeah, so Alex, our September poll a month ago, right after the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, showed Harris with a 5-point lead among registered voters. Now our new poll shows the race dead even. And I do think that timing is really important. Harris was riding a wave of support and enthusiasm after the debate. It was also ended up including a really bad news environment for Donald Trump. But 30 days, or essentially 30 days later, the numbers have kind of changed a little bit, and this just shows just how competitive it is. Alex, also our poll shows a really big gender gap between men who are favoring Donald Trump by 16 points and women who are favoring Harris by 14 points. And when it comes to the favorability of both candidates, it's really close, almost as close as the presidential ballot. We have Harris at -6 among all voters when it comes to her positive versus negative score. We have Donald Trump at -8, and that's an improvement for him since September.
Did any of the results surprise you, Mark? Because typically it is correct to say, as we borrow a line from James Carville, it is the economy, stupid.
Yeah, Alex, I think what actually surprised me the most was the decline in Harris's popularity. Our September poll showed a spike for her, a double-digit increase in popularity. And in our newest poll, those numbers have come back down to earth. And as I said earlier, our poll also ended up showing a slight rise in favorability for Donald Trump. The other thing that really struck me in the poll were just perceptions of the Biden presidency versus the former Trump presidency. And our poll finds that there were more voters who believe that the Trump presidency's policies ended up helping them than hurting them, where it's the opposite finding for the Biden presidency, where there were more voters who believe that the Biden presidency ended up hurting them more than helping them.
Interesting. You took a deep dive into turnout models in one article that was based on this poll. What did you find, Mark?
Yeah, so Alex, every close election comes down to turnout, and our bipartisan pollsters, the people who conduct the NBC News poll, have a basis on how you end up weighting how many white versus non-white voters, how many men versus women, how many young people versus older voters, and they agree upon this is what we think, this is our best guess what the environment will end up looking like. But we decided to have an experiment. Well, what if you actually ended up making the environment a little bit more Democratic leaning, or or more Republican leaning. And Alex, our poll finds that in the more Republican leaning, our race goes from a dead tie, 48-48, to Donald Trump with a 2-point lead. But in the more favorable Democratic environment, and that's you end up having more younger voters, more voters of color, you end up having Harris with a 3-point lead. And, you know, to me, the most interesting thing that's going to be happening on Election Day is who ends up winning the turnout battle. And I do think that our poll and the different experiments and the different scenarios give viewers and readers kind of a good glimpse on what can happen if the environment looks better for Democrats or if it looks worse for Democrats, and vice versa for Republicans.
I got to tell you, my takeaway, it is anybody's bet. And we're going to have to wait until November 5th. That's the big story. Thank you, Mark Murray, as always, my friend. Good to see you. Let's bring in NBC News senior national political reporter Natasha Korecki and Megan Hayes, former special assistant to President Biden and former director of message planning. Megan, so as Mark was just pointing out there, Harris lost some ground last month. How do you explain that drop? And is it to be expected, considering the vice president's stratospheric rise after announcing her candidacy? Was that even sustainable?
I don't think it was sustainable, and I do think it was expected. I think that after the president stepped aside and she went to the top of the ticket, it really invigorated a lot of the Democratic Party. People got really excited. She had this great wave. We had an amazing convention in Chicago. And then I think the fall was always going to be a slog. It always gets down to the policies and the back and forth here. So I do think it is to be expected. And I think this race is right back where it was supposed to be, which is neck and neck and a coin toss. Like you're saying, it's anyone's game. So, you know, I think that it's just going to be a battle for the next 23 days or so.
Yeah, 100%. Natasha, so the polling also shows Trump losing support with women, Harris losing it with men. Who is more likely to close their respective gap before election night?
Well, that is the question, of course. You know, one thing you can say, and that Democrats feel very confident about, it's their ground game. You know, they have had these infrastructure in place since Biden was still the candidate. And that included trying to turn out rural voters. That included, you know, making beachheads in different areas of the battleground states that usually aren't that friendly to Democrats. So, you know, they do feel very confident about that. And the numbers so far, early voting numbers, you know, such as they are, they're very minuscule so far. But if you look at, you know, different people who are tracking those very well, they're looking at, you know, good numbers for women turnout, for African-American women in particular. If you looked at before that, voter registration numbers among African-American women, they went up stratospherically right after Kamala Harris entered the race. So those are good signs for her. The bad sign from this polling is that her favorability went down. And that was during a period when more of the public got to know her a little better. So, you know, the question is this the beginning of a trend and she's going to continue dropping? Or is this a leveling off from, you know, what Megan just described as stratospheric rise and, you know, now she's coming back down, you know, to more of what was expected, a dead heat race. So,
but
you know,
let me try to put a positive spin on what Mark was saying there, Natasha, because, I mean, he did say the big motivating factor is abortion right now. That's what the NBC News poll found. You would think that would motivate women.
Certainly. I mean, and the numbers for women are very good in a lot of these battleground states. But still, when you look at a lot of the factors, you know, as we reported earlier this week, Kamala Harris reached $1 billion in fundraising. She's out fundraising Trump. She's out advertising him, and she has a better ground game. Those are all factors that are very good for her. But then it asks, you know, you have to ask the question, why are they still in a dead heat if she does have those advantages? Part of the answer, of course, is she had to, you know, do something that no candidate's ever done, which is get into this race 2.5 months ago and attract a lot of voters.
It's all been quite unique for her. What about Harris's team? Because it is trying to figure out how to put more distance between her and Joe Biden. And it comes after Republicans latched onto a comment the vice president made on The View, where Harris said she couldn't think of anything Biden did that she would have done differently, Megan. So as Biden's former special assistant, might this give the campaign the edge they are looking for?
So I actually don't think that she needs to make distance between her and President Biden. I think she needs to capitalize on all the things that they've done to make American lives better and make the economy better. And it's moving, and I understand it's not moving fast enough for people, but she needs to take that, and then she needs to go 2 steps further and say what she would do in the next 4 years. So instead of looking back at what she would have done differently in the last 4 years when she wasn't the one making all the decisions and she was an implementer as the vice president, she needs to look forward, and she needs to tell people what she's going to do in the future and how she's going to continue to grow the economy and continue to bring prices lower for their groceries and for gas. So, it's not even distance from the president. It's just making sure that people understand her policies and how they're going to continue to shift in a positive for them.
Yeah, how she's going to try and build on him. Look, the Harris campaign has a very busy week ahead. The vice president and her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, are going to be crisscrossing, ready for it, Nebraska, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. And they're going to hit some of those states multiple times, Megan. Is this official? Have we entered the final push?
I sure hope so for their sake. I mean, this is quite the schedule that they have going, but this is what you'd expect in the last couple of weeks of a campaign. They're going to be out there. They're going to have surrogates out there. They're going to be talking to folks. Everyone's going to be blanketing all of the airways. I mean, this is what they need to do. People say that folks don't really pay attention until after Labor Day. Well, this is the final stretch and people are paying attention. So they are going to where the voters are. You can see it in her media choices with her interviews, and you can see it with their ground game.
Yeah, good point. And to you, Natasha, on top of this swing state media blitz, Harris is enlisting former Presidents Obama and Clinton to help her along with some, as you've called them in one of your new articles, seasoned operatives to push her agenda in swing states. What do you make of this all hands on deck strategy? Is the Harris campaign feeling the pressure more than ever, or is this just the right time to pull out all the stops?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. The campaign sat back and said, look, this is what we need to do strategically. I think it's interesting that they have Obama talking to African-American men. They must be seeing something there. I mean, certainly our polling's showing, a little bit of a drop there, but he's trying to lift that up. And then you have Clinton going into some of these southern states where he did do well in the past. So, yes, they're leaving nothing on the field. They are giving it their all. They're not going to get in this trap of, what Hillary Clinton faced in 2016, that, she didn't go to Wisconsin at the end. You cannot say that for Harris. They are hitting all of these states multiple times, and they're able to do it because Harris doesn't have to sit back and go to fundraisers and stuff. She has plenty of money, whereas you see Trump having to go to places like California so he can go pick up some money. And so that is another big advantage for Harris right now and to the close of the election. So that's what
this trip was about. I mean, he was in Coachella yesterday, and everyone was scratching their heads like, why in this very blue state? Anyway, it's good to see you both. Thank you so much, Natasha and Megan. An important Sunday stop for Vice President Harris and a desert detour, as we were mentioning, for Donald Trump. What we heard and saw back in 90 seconds.
Hey, Scott, this stuff's perfect for fall, right?
Yep, it feeds your lawn now to strengthen roots all winter for a better lawn next spring.
How do you know all this?
Says it right there on the back.
Yes, it does.
Download the My Lawn app today for lawn care tips and customized plans.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Where are you headed?
Where am I headed? Am I just going to take what the market gives me? No, I can do some research.
That's backed by JP Morgan's leading strategists, like us.
When you want to invest with more confidence, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
At Verizon, every phone can be the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. Wow, phones are going to be flying to Verizon.
Switch to Verizon and get the new iPhone 16 Pro and get a new iPad and Apple One all on us. Only on Verizon.
My hair was thinning all around my hairline.
My dermatologist recommended Nutrafol. It's 100% drug-free and clinically tested.
My hair is longer, thicker.
Nutrafol is life-changing for me.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com.
Our right to reproductive health care is being stolen from us.
I can't believe this is the world we live in, where we're losing the freedom to control our own bodies.
We need your support now more than ever. Go online, call, or scan this code with your $19 monthly gift, and we'll send you this Care No Matter What t-shirt.
It is your right to have safe health care. That's it.
Go online, call, or scan right now.
So as we were saying, this week, the Harris and Trump campaigns are starting a final big push before the election. Today, both vice presidential candidates making the rounds on the Sunday shows to get their messages across before a hectic week out on the trail. This comes as a new NBC poll released today shows Harris and Trump in a dead heat, and that prompted Democratic strategist James Carville to give this warning to undecided conservative voters.
Forget about specificity in the economic plan or whether or not Jack Smith is being mean to Trump, and focus on what's at stake here. That literally this election is about the Constitution, and we're not going to have one if we lose it.
We've got a team of reporters following the latest from both campaigns today. We're going to begin in Greenville, North Carolina, with NBC's Aaron Gilchrist and Vice President Harris there. So, Aaron, who's Harris specifically trying to win over in North Carolina today, and why?
Well, Alex, if you look at the crowd doing the Cupid Shuffle behind me here right now, you've got a big mix of people, older, younger, black, white, male, female, all the sorts of groups that the vice president really does want to resonate with. But in particular here in North Carolina today, she has a message that is tailored to people, black people in the church community. She spoke at a church here in Greenville a little while ago, launching her Souls to the Polls initiative that really is designed to drive turnout among black voters in North Carolina and in other battleground states. She talked to them today about putting their faith into action, in particular at the ballot box. And then we heard her also talk about some themes that we've heard on the campaign trail before, but with a bit of a tweak to some of those talking points so that the message was more tailored toward both North Carolina and toward an audience that is in a church setting. She talked about her opponent taking advantage of what folks here in North Carolina are dealing with after Hurricane Helene. And I want you to hear a little bit of how she addressed that particular issue and disinformation.
Right now, fellow Americans are experiencing some of the most difficult moments in their lives. Yet instead of offering hope, there are those who are channeling people's tragedies and sorrows into grievance and hatred. And one may ask why, and I think sadly, frankly, the motives are quite transparent: to gain some advantage for themselves.
Now, the vice president went on and talked for about 10 minutes there at the church. She is on her way now here to this arena at East Carolina University, where she will continue this message that really is aimed at black voters in particular in this state, trying to, again, to drive turnout numbers up. This is a state that former President Trump won in 2020 by a little over 1%. And so the Harris campaign really does believe that North Carolina is in play, that this is a state where they can win, and that win is really going to happen on the backs of voter turnout, trying to get more people to go to the polls. This is Pitt County, where we are, is a blue county, but it's surrounded by red counties. And if the vice president can drive up turnout here in places like Pitt County, or change some of the numbers just a little bit in some of those red counties that surround this one, it could lead to a win for her. Alex?
Okay. Hey, Aaron, let me also commend you on your professionalism, because I think if I were there, I'd be doing some kind of a shuffle while trying to report, because that stuff is contagious. There's a lot of good energy. Thank you so much. So let's go across the country here to Los Angeles, where NBC campaign embed Jake Traylor is following former President Trump. Jake, welcome to you. How did Trump approach rallying in Harris's home state, and then where's he headed now?
Yeah, Alex, since Vice President Harris became the Democratic nominee, we've seen former President Trump attempt to really attach her record to that of California's. And so I asked the question yesterday to a Trump campaign senior official of why exactly, with so few days out, are we seeing the former president in a blue-leaning state like California? Because the Trump campaign doesn't legitimately believe he is going to likely win California. Trump lost it by over 5 million votes back in 2020. But I was told a couple of things. One, they want to paint Trump as a former president, potentially future president, who can be a leader for Republicans and Democrats. as well. Secondly, they, as they've done before in previous campaign events, want to head to California to highlight a bad version of California and attach that to Vice President Harris's record. We saw that yesterday. Trump vehemently went after Vice President Harris. He said that California had the highest inflation, the greatest amounts of homelessness, the greatest amounts of undocumented immigrants coming into the country, the most regulation. We also saw him go after the California governor, Gavin Newsom, as well, saying that if Trump is reelected, he would withhold federal funds to help fight fires if Gavin Newsom wasn't willing to cooperate with them. And so this was a strategic move to go into Harris's backyard where she's from and specifically go after her and the governor. Take a listen to some of that yesterday.
I've come here today not only to talk about California, where you have one of the worst governors in the country, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. No, but you definitely had somebody here that was horrible. Kamala Harris. Her reign of terror ends the day I take office. She's finished.
And to where the former president is headed this week, back to some of those more conventional swing states. We'll see him in Georgia this week and Pennsylvania. And in just a couple hours, we'll see the former president take Arizona, Alex.
Yeah, okay. Listening to him, it is remarkable. Thank you so much, Jake Traylor. There are new numbers to share from Florida in the Milton aftermath and new pictures that tell a different tale. Next.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base.
That's what Grandpa used to play. When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Captions service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you. Call 1-800-695-0412. That's 1-800-695-0412.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Have both Medicare and Medicaid? Now's the time to explore your options and choose the coverage that's right for you. Choose a Medicare Advantage plan that offers you more benefits at no additional cost. Millions of members turn to WellCare for benefits and services that go beyond original Medicare and help them lead better, healthier lives. Choose a plan with $0 or low monthly plan premiums, copays, and deductibles. And with WellCare, you don't just pay less, you get more. More dental with comprehensive coverage, more vision and hearing with an eyewear allowance, plus $0 or low prescription drug copays and free home delivery. Call us at 877-823-8204 to speak to a friendly licensed representative and request a free all-in-one guide. There's no obligation. We're here to help you review your options to see if a WellCare plan is the right decision for you. WellCare has a large network of doctors and specialists. And WellCare Medicare Advantage plans come with this all-in-one WellCare Spendables debit card to use for over-the-counter health items. Get convenient access to care with our telehealth services, including online doctor visits, Twill, a digital mental health and social support resource, and free fitness benefits with online classes. WellCare has a contract with Medicare to provide Medicare Advantage plans. It has been serving those with Medicare Advantage, Medicaid, and prescription drug plans for more than 35 years. Call now. We're here to answer your questions and even assist enrolling you over the phone. Choose the company that puts your health first. WellCare, the coverage you need and more. Call now and get a free copy of our all-in-one guide. 877-823-8204.
Water line broke. Replacing could cost thousands. Not covered by homeowners insurance.
Honey, wake up. Here's Tom Rusin, CEO of HomeServe.
A plan from HomeServe pays for the covered repair cost for water lines, and we send a qualified contractor. The American dream of owning a home doesn't need to be a nightmare. Sleep well with HomeServe.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $7.99 a month.
Call 1-800-355-9395 or visit homeserve.com.
My gosh, how good is that? I love how light it feels. It's not heavy, it's not cakey. I feel like I'm not wearing any makeup at all. Most liquid foundations usually sit in the fine lines and pores. It makes them more visible and it feels so heavy on the skin. This baked powder foundation has velvety and creamy texture with light to medium long-lasting coverage. I don't see any other reason to try any other makeup foundation ever.
Now to the latest on Hurricane Milton's aftermath, and people in Florida lining up for hours and hours just trying to get gas. Today, the Florida Division of Emergency Management opened up several fuel distribution sites as the power outages have led to gas shortages in the wake of this storm. Also today, President Biden surveying the devastation in Florida and promising millions of dollars in federal aid to get power grids back up following those back-to-back storms. Nearly 1 million customers are still without power. At least 18 deaths have been confirmed. Joining me from St. Petersburg, Florida, is NBC's Guad Venegas. So, Guad, I mean, you were telling us last hour, people have been waiting in line for hours and hours. We're seeing the aerials. It is stunning. What are you hearing from them when they reach where you are?
Alex, we arrived early this morning at about 6 a.m. This opened at 7 a.m. So at 6 a.m., we spoke to the person that was first in line. That person said they arrived at about 2:30 a.m., waited hours for this to open at 7 a.m. to be able to drive in and get the 10 gallons of free gasoline that the state is offering. Most people here have been waiting for hours. I mentioned to you earlier, I drove up to see how far the end of the line went. This was at about 8 a.m. earlier today. It was about 20 blocks in that direction. I can't imagine how long the line is now. We've been speaking to some of the individuals here, and everyone says they've been waiting for hours. They also say that they've tried buying gasoline at some of the gas stations in the area, and they've been unable to find gas stations that have gasoline, and the ones that do have some have very long lines as well. The difference, of course, is that this line will give them free gasoline, again, 10 gallons per driver. Earlier, I spoke to one of the drivers, and this is what the driver had to say.
Yesterday, people were waiting at gas stations at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they weren't even open yet.
My needle was on E yesterday, and I went to one gas station. Truck didn't come in. I prayed, like, let me get home. Got home, my car hadn't moved since yesterday.
And that first driver, she also showed us her card tells her how much, what the range is left with the amount of gas that she had left. It was at 0 or a dash. So she was turning the car off and then turning it on every time it moved. A lot of other drivers have been doing the same. So if you stand along the line, you can hear the cars turn on and off. A lot of these drivers are afraid that they're going to run out of gas as they wait for this very long line. The state said they were opening more distribution centers today. This is part of the 1 million gallons that Governor DeSantis said they had to give to the drivers in Florida. Now, a lot of the drivers here, Alex, are also using the app Gas Buddy, I should say that, to find gas stations that find gas. And that's a really good tool, especially because the app will tell people if gas stations have run out of gas or out of power. Something to keep in mind: if a gas station runs out of power and they don't have a backup generator, they aren't able to operate the pumps, according to what state officials have said. Something for drivers to keep in mind as this gas shortage here continues, Alex.
Yeah. Listen, you know what struck me was seeing the photos of those people who had walked there, and they have canisters to fill up with gas and then walk back. I guess they must be close enough to be able to do that. But that seems like the smartest move if you can. If you're going to try to conserve. All right. Guad Venegas, many thanks. The strange and shocking reaction Donald Trump had to a protester on his desert tour, and Kamala Harris's #1 defender explains why Trump is wrong on the vice president's economic plan.
We all need fiber for our digestive health, but less than 10% of us get enough each day. Good thing Metamucil gummies are an easy way to get prebiotic plant-based fiber with the same amount of fiber as 2 cups of broccoli. Metamucil gummies, the easy way to get your daily fiber.
in the driveway. Goodness.
My daughter is being treated for leukemia. I hope that she lives a long, great, happy life, and that she will never forget how Mom and Daddy love her. St. Jude, I mean, this is what's keeping my baby girl alive.
You can join the battle to save lives by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. For just $19 a month, you'll help us continue the life-saving research and treatment these kids need now and in the future.
Cancer makes me feel angry, like not in the, feel on the outside, just the inside I'm angry at it.
When your kid is hurting and there's nothing you can do about it, that's the worst feeling in the world.
1 in 5 children diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. will not survive.
Those that donate to St. Jude, I hope that you will continue to give. They have done so much for me and my family.
Join with your debit or credit card now and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt that you can proudly wear.
Están salvando vidas. Y la vida de mi hija es una de ellas.
You ready to go have some fun?
When we came here, we didn't know what tomorrow would hold. St. Jude showed us that tomorrow there's hope for our little girl to survive.
Let's cure childhood cancer together. Please donate now.
Consumer Cellular is lowering the price for those 50 and up. Get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. That's just $60 a month. So switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage satisfaction. Visit consumercellular.com today.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The #1 thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
This is the story of the one who doesn't just see a broken dock. He sees lost revenue, a late night, and work stalled to a halt. Thankfully, he has the experience to handle whatever comes his way and has Grainger on his side, offering access to technical product specialists and the scale to deliver fast, so he can keep his business in gear and always moving forward. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Say hello to Litter Robot, the solution to all your litter box problems. Remove the chore of scooping and trap the smell. Goodbye odor. Goodbye scooping. Goodbye litter box. Hello, Litter Robot.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com today and get 50% off.
New today, vice presidential candidates Governor Tim Walz and Senator J.D. Vance making dueling Sunday show appearances. Neither candidate is a stranger to Fox News, and this was Walz's second straight weekend appearance on the network. NBC News campaign embed Catherine Koretsky is in St. Paul, Minnesota, so welcome to you. What are you hearing from Walz about why the campaign is trying to appeal to right-leaning voters?
Yeah, Alex, exactly like you said, appearances from J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz on Fox News Sunday this morning, a show that Tim Walz was actually on last Sunday as well. He explained to the host this morning that she asked straight up, you guys, your team reached out. Why do you think it's important to come back on this show 2 weeks in a row? Obviously, Governor Tim Walz has been doing quite the media blitz since the VP debate a few weeks ago in these short 23 days. Take a listen to what he said this morning about why he decided to return on this Fox News program for a second week in a row.
Okay, so listen, I still have a lot of questions. I'm glad you're back for more of a conversation. But when I heard that you wanted to come back this week, your team reached out. I was a little bit surprised. What's that about?
Well, look, folks deserve to hear where we stand on this. Vice President Harris and I have an agenda for, the new way forward, a manufacturing agenda. I was just in Michigan this week, and I think folks are still undecided out there. And I appreciate you. You ask good, hard questions, and your viewers get a chance to hear.
So as you heard there, Alex, the key word there for him is the undecided voters. With just 23 days ago, Governor Tim Walz is trying to reach those people that still might be undecided in these final few weeks. He also made a push to try to appeal more to male voters, the Harris campaign announced last week. He went to a football game on Friday at his high school where he coached football. He also went pheasant hunting yesterday. So they're trying to reach those voters that might be thinking, who am I going to vote for in these final few days? And he's trying to reach out and grab them through these media appearances. Alex?
Yeah, blanketing the airwaves. I mean, it makes sense. Thank you very much, Catherine, for that. Joining us now is Shaniqua McClendon, Vice President of Political Strategy for Crooked Media and head of Vote Save America, and Ashley Pratt-Oates, political commentator and former Republican. Welcome back, ladies. Good to have you here. So, Ashley, Governor Walz has been out this week specifically trying to win over male voters. In our new NBC News poll, it finds a huge gender gap between Harris and Trump, with men backing Trump by 16 points. Can Walz help narrow that?
I think he can, but I think more importantly, Harris needs to do more to continue to shore up the female vote and make sure that women turn out on Election Day in the same way that Trump is trying to shore up the male vote. So I think, yes, it makes sense for Walz to continue this strategy, but at the end of the day, Harris really does have to shore up that female vote. And I think the poll that shows that people will vote based upon the issue of abortion, which I've said on this show before, will be a sleeper issue for turnout on Election Day. And this election is all going to come down to turnout. And that's evidenced by all of these new polls that show that this race is in a dead heat. She has certainly made it more competitive, but this gender gap will be, I think, a driving issue that we'll see on Election Day. And abortion could be that #1 driving issue that really does get women out to the polls to make sure that their voices are heard in favor of the Harris-Walz ticket.
And that would be supported by the NBC News poll findings today, finding that it is the most motivating factor at this point. I believe it came in at 22%, but it was the top one, the issue of abortion. So, Shaniqua, Kamala Harris kicking off the week with a series of stops focused on engaging black men in particular. That includes this radio town hall with Charlemagne the God. What do you think of this strategy? What do you think she needs to say here, and is it going to work?
Yeah, I think it's really important that she is having this conversation with him. There's always a lot of talk about the slight gains that Republicans have made among black voters, particularly black men. But one thing I can say is Republicans are showing up where they are. This year alone, Nikki Haley, Candace Owens, and Congressman Byron Donalds have been on Charlemagne's show, The Breakfast Club. And Democrats can't just cede that space. That show and Charlemagne himself reach a lot of the voters that they are trying to get to turn out and shore up their support with. So it's important that she's there. I think about what she has to say. I think she just needs to answer a lot of the questions that people have. They're still trying to get to know her and ultimately want to know what she's going to do on the economy. I think she's been taking a lot of these interviews and she gets to talk about her personal stories and how they relate to the things that she wants to see and the policies that she wants to implement. So I think continuing to hone in on those and take some of those tough questions that I'm sure Charlemagne will give to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he will. So, Ashley, back to our new NBC News poll. It shows the 5-point lead that Harris enjoyed over Trump after their debate. That was about a month ago. That's gone. Her favorability is also falling. Is this a function of people still just getting to know her? And is this media blitz strategy going to work?
I think this race was always going to be close. And what Harris's late entry and really unprecedented kind of moment of entering into the race the way she did has shored up that this is going to be a competitive race. So I think job well done by her campaign on that front. But the honeymoon that she was receiving, really showed that people were trying to get to know her. And now at this point, some of the disadvantages that she has are that people still don't know her, whereas a disadvantage for Trump is that people do know him. So I think this is where she really needs to continue to get out there on the campaign trail and shore up the base of support that she has among young people, among women, among minority voters, and make sure that they turn out to vote. Because at this point, turnout will be what drives the results on Election Day. And from what I'm hearing, the Republicans have really outsourced their get out the vote efforts, which I don't think is necessarily going to help them on Election Day. If anything, it's going to make things more chaotic. Democrats traditionally have been a lot stronger at get out the vote efforts, which I think they've really honed in on in these final weeks in the last stretch of the campaign.
Yeah. Shaniqua, while rallying here in California, Donald Trump mocked a woman being escorted out of that rally. Take a listen to this.
This election is your chance to send a message. Back home to mommy. She goes back home to mommy. Was that you, darling? And then she gets the hell knocked out of her. Her mother's a big fan of ours. You know that, right? Her father, her mother. Now, you always have
that. What is he even saying?
That was my first question. If I was sitting in the audience, my first question would be, what is he talking about? I think we can generally gather that someone must have been heckling him and was removed from the audience for it. But then he starts talking about her parents and her getting hit, and it's just really, really confusing. I think it's just another opportunity, though, for voters to see that he's not all there. He spent so much of the election making Joe Biden's cognitive ability a big issue, so big that Joe Biden actually dropped out of the presidential race. And now, his mental acuity is on display for all of us to see, and it's not that sharp.
Can I ask you, Shaniqua, how can the Harris campaign convince voters, to quote you, that he's not all there?
Yeah, I think we've started to see a little bit of that reporting, but the ads they put out, when they if they just show the things that he says, they don't even have to really edit it down that much. He's just saying things that literally do not make sense. I know this happened some time ago, but I always go back to that question he was answering about childcare, and he started talking about tariffs. And so it's like he has these little bits of information and he's trying to piece it all together, but it doesn't make sense because, as much as I do not want this man to be president for his ideology, everything's not clicking. You can see the deterioration that has happened since 2016. And so I think, one, putting that out there for people to see, but also Trump is going to do it on his own. He's going to be doing all these rallies and whatever interviews he has left between now and Election Day. And people will continue to see just, how unbalanced he is.
Yeah, the one I go back to is boats and sharks and electric engines. Remember that one? I was like, what?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both. Good to see you both. And I will see you again soon. Meantime, it seems to be the political debate of the week. When you hear my discussion with MSNBC's Reverend Al Sharpton, you're probably going to agree. And that's next.
Hey, Scott, this stuff's perfect for fall, right?
Yep, it feeds your lawn now to strengthen roots all winter for a better lawn next spring.
How do you know all this?
Says it right there on the back.
Yes, it does.
Download the My Lawn app today for lawn care tips and customized plans.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
How can you go from this to this in your kitchen, or from this to this in your bathroom? With Horsepower, the new waterproof and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier. Guaranteed. Baked on oven grease is no match. It cleans it in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning up to 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, and more. Horsepower can clean bathroom tiles and tubs back to their original shine. Take it outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Horsepower with
4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. And find out about the optional Easy Reach bottle brush. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. There is a strict limit of 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-996-8259 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-996-8259 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com now.
New Downy Comfy Cozy combines softness and scent for an elevated cozy we call Cozy. Transform your everyday with new Downy Comfy Cozy. It not only combines softness and scent, it breathes life into your laundry.
When my doctor gave me Breztri for my COPD, things changed for me. Breztri gave me better breathing, symptom improvement, and reduced flare-ups.
Breztri won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. It is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Don't take Breztri more than prescribed. Breztri may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Ask your doctor about Breztri.
Cooking rice just isn't nice. No matter how hard you try, it always comes out stuck on and dry. Until now.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with Rice Robot, the 1, 2, 3 rice cooker.
It's the easiest way to make fluffy, delicious rice every time.
Watch. 1, add the white cup for rice. 2, add the blue cup for water. 3, click it and let Rice Robot perfectly cook it.
White, brown, jasmine, pilaf, basmati, even sushi rice, all cooked just right. The secret is perfect cook technology that surrounds the rice with controlled heat for even cooking. Then Rice Robot senses when it's done, auto stops, and keeps it warm to serve.
Rice Robot's so smart it won't burn, overcook, or undercook, guaranteed. Watch this. Add rice, water, olive oil, salt, 1 large tomato in the center. Click it, cook it, and look, amazing Mediterranean rice that's just bursting with flavor. But how about an egg fried chicken rice meal for the whole family in just minutes?
And rice is just the beginning. Make mac and cheese, frittatas, oatmeals, soups and stews, even ramen dishes. For a healthier choice, make quinoa, couscous, or cauliflower rice.
Throw in turkey, rice, vegetables, potatoes, broth, and bring leftovers back to life.
Elevate your party with a melty queso spinach or a s'mores dessert dip. Rice Robot is perfect for apartments, dorm rooms, and RVs. And with a ceramic, ultra non-stick interior, cleanup's a breeze.
Call or go online now and get the complete Rice Robot cooking system with the steamer tray and 1, 2, 3 recipe guide. All for the special TV discount price of just $39.99. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. We'll even ship your entire order free. You get it all at incredible value for one low price. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-462-0899 or go to buyricерobot.com. So call 1-800-462-0899 or order online at buyricерobot.com today.
I had 8 UTIs in 1 year. This inspired me and my partner Spencer to launch Eucora. Eucora makes effective urinary tract health products.
It truly works miracles.
The peace of mind I've been looking for.
Go to eucora.com to learn more.
They need their lawn back fast. And you need Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass. It grows grass 2 times faster than just seed the lawn. Giving you a stronger lawn. Smell that freedom, eh?
Download the My Lawn app today for lawn care tips and customized plans.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
23 days to Election Day, the Harris Walz ticket embarking on a blue wall blitz. Tomorrow, Vice President Harris will be in Erie, Pennsylvania. Governor Tim Walz will make stops in Wisconsin, and former President Bill Clinton is campaigning in Georgia. The week takes the VP to Detroit, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Then former President Obama joins with stops in Tucson and Las Vegas. Saturday, VP Harris is back in Detroit and Atlanta. This blitz comes days after former President Obama sent a direct message to black men voters. Here's new reaction from one senator who has won 5 races in Georgia.
Black men are not going to vote for Donald Trump in any significant numbers. There'll be some. We're not a monolith. It's important for folks to show up.
And what if they show up for Donald Trump?
Well, I've already told you what I think about that. I don't think that there'll be significant numbers of black men showing up for Donald Trump.
And joining me now, we have Reverend Al Sharpton, civil rights leader, National Action Network founder, and of course, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, and our good friend. Rev, thanks so much for joining me. Where do you land in this debate? Do you think there's cause for concern from Democrats. I mean, it seems to me you would agree with Senator Warnock for the most part.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Senator Warnock. I think that we're not a monolith, but I think that the more we talk and deal with the issues and the record, that you begin to see whatever small amount of black men are being polled to lean Trump's way begins to dissipate. You must remember the thing that a lot of people are forgetting about this, Alex, is that Donald Trump has a record of being president for 4 years. He was president when George Floyd was killed, and it was videotaped. He was president when Breonna Taylor was killed, and it had evidence. He was president when Ahmaud Arbery. He did nothing about any of them. And when you present that to young black men, and you present his record going back to calling for the death penalty on the Central Park Five, who were exonerated, and he still wouldn't take it back. And you compare that to Kamala Harris, who was part of the last 3 years, almost 4 years, that lowered black unemployment, that fought and got a huge amount of money for HBCUs, much more than what Donald Trump did. And when you deal with the fact that voting rights, affirmative action, DEI, all were devastated by the Trump Supreme Court, black young men start saying they were not aware of that. I've been on a nonpartisan bus tour in various cities with Central Park Five. When you have young black men said he wanted to kill me for something I didn't do or have me killed, never stood up in another case in New York that had racial overtones, they begin to get the facts. So I think that the more the facts out there, the more you're going to see in the next 3 weeks, even that small percentage change.
I mean, it sounds to me like this is a messaging thing, because if Kamala Harris's campaign is listening to you right now, they're going to want to bottle up everything you just said and somehow package it and get it out there. So is it just messaging, this lack of awareness, you think, among certain facets of the black male community, the youth particularly?
I think that it is messaging, and I think it is messengers. I think that even some older can say the facts, because the facts speak for themselves. I think it's been a lack of getting the right message out to young blacks, and I think, or young people, period, but particularly young blacks in this conversation, and messengers that they know and trust, that are not just there election time, but that they know they're there and in their interest all of the time. Who on the other side does Donald Trump have out talking to young blacks? J.D. Vance? I mean, let's be serious. So I think that when you contrast the two, then you get the results that, in my opinion, overwhelmingly leans toward Kamala Harris. I think that when you operate in a vacuum, people can be persuaded with ads and misinformation. But misinformation campaigns die when you get the right information out there.
So Kamala Harris being in Greenville, going and speaking to church crowds, something you do every week, the souls to the polls, is that going to be a real positive? Can that make a big difference for her?
I think it can. You must remember doing the town hall and with young blacks is going to be impactful, I believe. But going to churches and dealing with other entities in the black community, because remember, the prime voters in the black community are churchgoers, are people that are members of Divine Nine. And they are the parents of young black voters that young black voters live with, who come home and say to them, these are the facts. And once they have the facts, there are no counterfacts that Donald Trump they could present that demonstrates any commitment to young blacks. What was his slogan? What do you have to lose if I become president? He said this in 16. Well, we did lose. We lost affirmative action. We lost a lot of our voting rights. We saw record black unemployment. So if he didn't have those 4 years as president, he could sell a dream. But he cannot change the reality of what his presidency did.
Let me ask you quickly, Charlemagne the God, how positive will his influence be when Kamala Harris sits down and talks with him?
I don't know that it's about his influence being positive. He has a lot of influence. I think that he will probably have a conversation and let people make the decisions all to themselves. And I think there'll be others out there. Magic Johnson has been out there, who many of them look up. He's not a youth, but a lot of young people look up to him. And the list goes on. I again say, who has Donald Trump put out there other than J.D. Vance? Not a good ambassador to the black community.
Point well taken. Something tells me, my friend, you're right outside of 30 Rock, and I think you're going to have to go in and get started on work. So thank you very much for joining me.
On my
Good
way.
to see you, Reverend. Thank you. And all of you, make sure to watch.
To your life, posing a real threat to your family's comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning.
The winds are not letting up at all here. We're going to see some power outages. The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages.
Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator. When a power outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up using your home's existing natural gas or propane, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Stay tuned to get over a $500 value free on the most popular home standby generator in the world.
With the Generac, we don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
Having a Generac takes a lot of the anxiety out of there's going to be a storm.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
Generac generators are designed, engineered, and built in the USA. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac and have thousands of satisfied customers.
How many times have you heard people say, I never want to go through that again? Well, the next time that you go through it, don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
Call or go online now to request your free quote with one of Generac's nationwide dealers. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Call or go online now so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to request your free quote today.
This is the story of the one who doesn't just see a broken dock, he sees work stalled to a halt. Thankfully, he has Grainger, offering the scale to deliver fast. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When I started Laura Geller Beauty over 25 years ago, I realized there weren't enough makeup options for women with mature skin. So I put together an amazing kit of everyday products for women over 40. I call it the Daily Routine. Daily Routine comes with our signature Balance and Brighten foundation, our Marbleized blush, which flatters any skin tone, our natural glow highlighter, and of course, our favorite kabuki brush to apply it. Learn more about Daily Routine at laurageller.com.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com.
Now to today's other top stories. A hot air balloon crashed into a radio tower, causing it to collapse. This during Albuquerque's famous balloon festival. It is the second time a balloon came into contact with that tower in 20 years. The balloon, which had 3 people on board, safely landed in a field. No one was hurt. Check out this dramatic catch today. SpaceX accomplished its boldest test. It shot the Starship rocket into orbit when its 20-story Super Heavy fell back to Earth. It landed in chopstick arms attached to the launch tower. The Starship later splashed down in the Indian Ocean. And the comet of the century thrilling stargazers last night as it traveled the closest it has been to Earth in, get this, 80,000 years. Photos show Comet A3 is a bright streak of light over the western horizon. It will be visible at sunset until the end of the month. It is one of the most fascinating questions of this campaign season. How long will we have to wait for a presidential winner to be declared? The next hour, though, starts right now. Good day to all of you from NBC News here in Los Angeles. Welcome to Alex Witt Reports. We're going to develop this hour the race for president. It is as tight as it gets with 23 days until the election. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are tied with 48% in our new NBC News poll. The poll also shows a massive gender gap, with women supporting Harris by a 14-point margin and men backing Trump by 16 points. The Harris campaign